Yeah, I think we can get in Nefty. I'm probably gonna have stream raiders running in the background.
That's fine.
I might start this one early, but you can start your Nefty thing.
All right.
So turn down the music a little, Lou.
Yeah, and let me switch to lo-fi hip hop. That's the Nefty music.
Yeah, the Nefty background music. Yeah,
it's a different vibe.
Guys, I was super excited because on the 31st last month, at the end of last month, there was a big public sale for the Nefty token, which is a token that was released by NeftyBlocks, the website platform where you can buy and sell and make drops for NFTs. But there's also a bunch of like confusion around the drop and the mechanics of staking your tokens and all that. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit today. So first of all, NeftyBlocks is like a competitor, I'd say, to Atomic Hub. You can buy like drops on there. You can do, most collections use it for their blends now. And they make those tools to make those blends available to collection creators for free. And in the past, they offered also more advanced things like making pre-minted pools and stuff, where you would work with them directly, and they, you know, for a fee they would do it, and it was, you know, noticeably cheaper than other options out there, but still relatively expensive, considering like small-time collections who, you know, aren't necessarily able to afford to pay a developer to do their contract stuff just to do a pack sale. So to do a solution for that, what they decided to do is they would mint a token, and then you as a collection owner would buy some of the token, stake it to their contract, and in exchange for staking a certain threshold, you get access to those tools directly. And so they're still able to get paid for the tools and making the work that they're doing, but they're able to make them accessible to more people at a more like accessible price point. This is a really cool move. I was excited to like follow along with that and see how it played out.
Yeah, and I think the key with that is that as a creator, we can have access to these tools. Now, obviously, we bought into it. We had to pay and have this amount of tokens, and that was a cost. But those tokens still retain their value. Now, that value will fluctuate. But whenever we decide, if at any given time, okay, like we have another solution, we're pulling out of this sort of style of NFT, what have you, we can recoup the value of our investment in that, which I think is huge. Instead of just paying a one-time fee, here's my pack sale, here's some money, make this smart contract. And in some cases, you don't even get to keep the source code. So it's not even like you could just then teach yourself how to fish. This is a kind of leasing agreement, basically, by staking these tokens, you get access to these tools, and then when you decide you don't, you can redistribute those tokens to others that would need it, and you can, to a certain extent, recoup your investment. And from a cost standpoint, because you know you're basically running a business as an NFT brand, I think that is a very, very huge thing, not only for in the NFT space, but as a whole, as just a business, a way of doing business in general. That's a really unprecedented idea.
Yeah, I was really excited about it. Like, I thought it was really great. And also, we'd been using NeftyBlocks before they ever made these, like, just their tools that they made available to the public before this token sale were already great. So I was really excited to like participate. But I have brought up, let me share my screen. I brought up the white paper here. So a big part of, like, I've run into a lot of confusion in the community, and big part of that I think is comes from the way the white paper is written. The first like 10 or 11 pages or so outline the token sale and the distribution up to and right up to August 31st. So after that distribution event, like the most of the stuff in this earlier part of the white paper isn't necessarily like relevant. Like when it says that tokens get drops to Betsy holders, for example, they're referring to a specific token, and then also when you open those packs, they open for tokens called Betsy. So it was really confusing. But anyway. So basically, the Nefty token itself is, like Mark said, it's just a token that you can have in your wallet now. So it'll be like if you have your wallet.
It's tradable on Alcor.
On Alcor, here they have Nefty tokens. You can trade them.
Just real quick, if you guys have any questions, by all means, this is very interactive. You can ask questions in the chat, and we'll try to get to those things as well. So just feel free to type away if you have curiosities or want clarification on anything as we go along.
Yeah. So on Alcor, this is like the spot market. You can make your orders like you normally would, place like the price you want to pay for the tokens and put limit orders in. And just as with other tokens, you have the swap, which is like the automated market maker, where you could trade Nefty tokens and then right immediately like do 10 and I would get 4.1 back right away. This is being funded almost entirely by the Nefty token like owner, the team there, using the Nefty tokens that weren't sold during the drop. So they put those, paired them with wax and dropped them into this liquidity pool. This liquidity pool is made available on the Nefty token platform, where you can, like, if I wanted to buy this NFT here, I could say show drop, and now any NFT on NeftyBlocks allows you to hit this flip, and I can now pay for this NFT using Nefty tokens.
Is that on the creator to whether or not they want to accept Nefty, or is that automatic for every sale, no matter what? You can do either or.
Every single drop. I can go to NeftyBlocks, go to new drops here, just pick the first drop that's up right now, the like latest drop. And of course it's like a whitelisted one, so I shouldn't have picked that one.
But anyway, so yeah, you can pay in Nefty or in Wax. So there are kind of like two use cases where there are Nefty tokens as a creator and Nefty tokens as a buyer, and the nature of holding the tokens both have different use cases.
Yeah, so if I wanted to buy this right now, I could, like, it says here you will be paying with Nefty. So if I then say, you know, buy and sign the transaction, it would take from my Nefty balance. But what's happening behind the scenes is it's taking 4.89 Nefty and taking that to Alcor, 4.89 for the 2 wax that comes for this transaction. So the collection owner is actually receiving the wax that they're trying to sell it for, but me, the buyer, I can use Nefty tokens, and that's part of like the deal for the NeftyBlocks platform moving forward.
And that's why Nefty is
providing
the liquidity on Alcor for that
exactly
mechanism to work the way they had designed it. Now you could also, as an individual,
can help to supply this liquidity if you just go up here plus liquidity.
But they kind of backed a foundation because that is part of their distribution model that they can.
Other than them, I think this is I'm the second biggest player in that pool, I think.
I think a key, although like we can go into this in more detail later, that if you stake your tokens to Nefty, which has a value and a use case in the white paper, you can't then take those tokens and put them on Alcor. So you have to choose one or the other.
That's correct. Yeah. So if you want to, so there's a few things you can do with the Nefty tokens as a collection owner. So I'll pull that up here. So if you're on NeftyBlocks, again, here's like the NeftyBlocks homepage. These 3 dots next to your sign in, if you click here and go to wallet, if you're a collection owner, you can stake to your collection. But if you're not, like this wallet doesn't own any collections, you can click on the staking tab in the center and you can stake your Nefty tokens. You want to stake in increments of either 1,000, 4,000, or 10,000 to get to a staking level of either 1, 2, or 3, respectively. So I did 10,000, which puts me at level 3. And by being a level 3 wallet, that means I get a multiplier now for all of the transactions that I do as a buyer on this marketplace. All of that transaction volume every week will be doubled, and then that final resulting number will be my weight for that week's Nefty token distribution. So let me break that down for you really quick.
So real quick question for you. So like when you say to stake in increments of 1, 4,000, or whatever the third number is, I don't remember.
10,000.
So like if I stake, say 5,000, does that level 2 is 4,000? Does that extra 1,000 Nefty above 4 give me any incremental use, or should you just keep it at basically those major thresholds?
Okay, so to understand, let me break down why to stake and what it makes sense and what the whole thing is. So here you can see the Nefty requirements. 0, everybody who has no Nefty tokens, everybody's level 1. So the levels all have to do with their distribution model for how these Nefty tokens are going to be distributed among the community. So far, the public sale has happened, which, let me find the page of where that breaks it down here. Which page is that? Okay. about NeftyBlocks, our vision. Here it is. So the public sale happened. These are all the packs that anybody bought. Represents 15% of the total supply of the tokens that will exist. 4% have been put aside for marketing. 1% was airdrop. This airdrop already happened. So if you don't know if you were eligible for it or not, just go onto NeftyBlocks, click this little 3 dots next to your wallet, go to wallet, and then click on the airdrop tab right here. If you were eligible for the airdrop, it'll show you a balance that you can now claim. If it doesn't show you balance, you missed the airdrop, and that's okay too, because there's more ways to get the token. So far, the airdrop happened. The team and investors has been put aside, but this is locked. You can see here is the schedule for how those team and investor funds are going to be unlocked and made available to the team. And then the rest of the supply, 54.44% of all of the existing supply of 100 million tokens that will ever exist, there will never be more than 100 million. 54.44 million of those are still being held by the NeftyBlocks team, and their plan is to release them every week, 50-50 split between buyers and sellers using the NeftyBlock platform. And that is where the staking comes in. So if you're a buyer on the NeftyBlock platform and you don't have any tokens staked, or you don't even use Nefty token or anything, that's okay. You're level 1. What that means is at the end of each week, you're buying weighted wax. So all the wax that you spent on NeftyBlocks that week, and then here it says plus the wax value that you spent in a Nefty token times 2. Which all that means is that if you, instead of using wax, if you use Nefty token, you get double the weight. So if you buy a 10 wax NFT using wax, you would, be building like a 10 wax credit towards that week. But if you instead bought that same 10 wax NFT using Nefty tokens, you would have built a 20 wax credit for your account for that week. So then it takes whatever your total is for the week, and then basically divides it by the gross mining share, which is basically all the volume everybody's buying, everybody put together, added up. So your number divided by the total number of everybody, and then each week 150,000 Nefty tokens get distributed, 50% to buyers and sellers. So 50% going to buyers, that's like 75,000-ish. Yeah, 75,000 tokens. So of whatever your number is, when you divide the gross mining share plus divided by your share, that number equals your portion of that 75,000.
So you're getting rewarded Nefty token for spending money, Nefty or wax, on the platform. And exactly. So that is just a slow trickle now, and then that is based on the amount that you've spent compared to the amount of spent total by other buyers in a given, is it weekly? Is it monthly?
Is weekly. So every week for the next 7 years, and we'll do 150,000 next.
So there's some talk, and I think you're getting there as far as the staking levels and stuff. So
that's where that comes in. If you are a buyer and you have staked 1,000 Nefty tokens, let's say you've bought 1,000 wax worth of NFTs in a week, and you used Nefty tokens to make those purchases, then at the end of the week, your weight would be here. It tells you it would be multiplied, so times 2. So you'd have a 2,000 weight, and then the result of that would be multiplied by 1.25. So you'd have a 2,000, 500-ish weight at the end, even though you've only spent 1,000 wax equivalent. And then your 2,500 weight would be divided by what the total weight is, and that would be your reward for that week. And
okay, here, let's pause real quick, Max, just so I can catch up on some of the questions here. So level 0 to level 1 is basically staking between 0 and 1,000 Nefty tokens. Is there any advantage to, if you're in between 0 and 1,000, is there any advantage to staking any of those Nefty tokens before you get to 1,000? Or should you just stack until you get to 1,000 and then stake for level 1?
That's right. You should save until you meet the threshold.
So there is no progressive advantage.
There's no progressive, not as of right now. So
there are clear stages, basically.
Yeah. So this is still an evolving project. Obviously, it's early days for this platform. I mean, you can see that just by visiting NeftyBlocks. It's they're gonna have a new interface. They're gonna have much more potential use cases for buyers and collection holders and owners of the tokens in the future. But as it stands right now, there is no reason to stake a portional, like anything less than 1,000 won't get you anything. There's a threshold of 1,000, and then if you do, like, let's say you stake 3,000, that's the same as staking 1,000. Like,
I think another clarification is, like, and correct me if I'm wrong, Max.
Yeah.
I don't think there is any advantage. I think I'm trying to answer this question here. Does it make sense to swap for wax for Nefty if I want to buy something just for the staking rewards? I don't think there is a advantage as far as your weight of these weekly distributions if you spend Nefty versus wax. So it is
there is actually
okay, then I'm wrong.
significant. It's 2 times. So you can see here the buyer weighted is
wax value of Nefty
wax value of Nefty times 2. So it's double.
So if you wanted to buy drops on Nefty that you were planning to buy anyway, then buying them with Nefty would give you a higher rate of return on the rewards that you would get from this distribution by virtue of what you were planning to spend anyway. Just a quick aside, since we haven't said it yet, this is not financial advice.
Yes,
this is just us educating and trying to clarify some of these things. But yes, that would be the case, that you get a basically 2 times bang for your buck as far as what your value of the weighted spending power that you have done in a given week. And now how much that is depends on how much you're spending, but in theory it is 2 times advantageous from a matter of rewards to spend with Nefty versus wax.
Yeah, and it's also, I would say 150,000 is quite a bit. If you look at the total distribution numbers, that's like 0.15% of the total supply, and that represents like a decent portion of the amount that was sold to the community. So it might actually be, I mean, it's hard to know what the actual numbers will break down to because we haven't seen a distribution event just yet, but I'm curious to see, like, because it doesn't matter necessarily how much you spend, it matters how much you spend relative to how much everybody spent that week. So if it's a week where nobody's buying anything and you're buying a bunch of stuff, that would get you for the week a significantly larger position of that week's reward distribution.
So, like, for me, in my opinion, my not financial advice opinion,
Yes.
is that if I were on the bubble in between staking levels, because Alcor and Nefty staking exist independently of one another because they're 2 separate platforms. Like, for me, for example, I have 6,000 and change Nefty tokens. So since it's not advantageous for me to stake more than 4,000 until I get to 10, I would probably take that excess 2,400 tokens and either buy drops with them or add to the liquidity pool on Alcor and maybe pair that with wax and see if I can get some liquidity.
So with the liquidity thing,
from that,
I just want a quick disclaimer on that is you can see that I've added, here's my numbers. And if you do the math, I'm not making any money doing this. So for example, I'm up 423 wax, but down almost 1,300 Nefty tokens. If you see how much 1,300 Nefty tokens would buy me, it's 531 wax. So I only got 423. I'm down close to 100 wax, and that happens because of how much the Nefty token has gone up relative to wax since I opened these positions.
So that is kind of a different. So that is a different.
It's not a short-term
decision-making tree as far as whether or not that's advantageous or not. But I'm just saying the use case of that excess Nefty token could be used in the interim to either buy drops or to provide liquidity. Obviously, that depends on what you're comfortable with. But that is a really good point. Honestly, new to me that anything in excess of that staking level is effectively useless. So you might as well use your free liquidity for what's useful. Now, whether or not you should buy extra Nefty token, I guess, is up to you.
Yeah, exactly. So there is a limited supply of Nefty tokens. It's not going to ever exceed 100 million. And there's more and more use cases coming for it. So I know NeftyBlocks is working on creating their own marketplace similar to Atomic Hub, where you'll be able to buy and sell anything in Nefty tokens and in wax. And all of that buy and sell transaction volume drives, trading volume through this liquidity pool as well, which is where so when another thing to consider when you do decide to supply liquidity to this pool, part of that decision for me is informed by the fact that they're growing a utility that drives traffic into the pool itself, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, so Eric, so basically the purchasing of Eleblobs and Olive Land, also hello immersives, that the tokens that you have spent would be contributed to your potential rewards from the pooling of what had been spent that week, but the 450 that you were staking would not give you any additional benefit until you reach 1,000 tokens. So the spending would benefit you, but the staking at this point in time would not be beneficial to you. So
And
just to clarify,
if you bought in Nefty, it would 2x your stake rewards. But it sounds like you staked your Nefty instead of buying with your Nefty.
and then
But
you bought
I
with
don't want to
Wax,
make any
yeah.
assumptions. If you bought with Wax,
Yeah.
it wouldn't boost. But if you bought with Nefty, it would boost.
But no matter what, buying with Wax, you still get the Wax credit. It's just using Nefty would have doubled that credit. So now you can see even this Eloblob drop here. If I go, I can buy it and I can just flip, and there we go. Now I'm using Nefty tokens to buy it. And that way I can double my, instead of 28 Wax credit for this current mining, what they're calling liquidity mining, I would be getting, 50 something, 56. Another thing to point out is I haven't found the official way to find this thing, but if you go on any drop after having used Nefty a few times and click on the drop, you see up here it says you have remaining balances to claim. So this is from using Nefty tokens. I actually have some, it quoted me a Nefty price that was higher than what it ended up being on the swap, so I can claim these back to my wallet just by clicking on that link. And
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so whenever you do that, there is there is an imperfect balance between what it says 51. This definitely covers it plus 0.505 or 0.5% slippage, but I'm probably not going to suffer this amount of slippage for a 21.17. And so instead of that difference getting lost somehow, that difference remains on your balance, which you can just claim back here.
So here's a segue here. So what are the biggest advantages to consumers of level 3 collections? And separately, can you add Wax or Nefty as a blend material so I build up that stake? The second part of that question I'm a little confused by, but I guess the question is so level 1, 2, 3 have different tools available to collectors.
Yes.
I mean, sorry, not to collectors, to collections, to creators. There are different tools available based on the creator staking stuff. But as a buyer, what are the advantages of that the level system besides the multiplier?
So here you can see this is for the collection owner. It is also 3 levels, which is also why I think there's a lot of confusion. But it's a completely separate staking contract. So to get to level 3 as a collector, that requires 10,000 Nefty tokens. If as a collection you'd like to be level 3, that's 45,000. So let's see, I can actually probably bring up, I don't have my other wallet here, so I don't have a collection.
So the multiplier from the staking piece is a multiplier of staking rewards.
Yes.
For buyers. So that is what that multiplier means.
So the multiplier is multiplying the rewards that you get through their distribution model, which is distributing to people who are actively buying on the NeftyBlocks platform using Wax or NeftyBlock or Nefty token. So you could stake, it's I want this to be clear, you could stake all the way 10,000 tokens and be level 3, but then if you don't buy anything, you'll multiply your volume, which is 0, by 0 and get 0. So staking alone does not return any sort of APY or anything. The staking mechanic as a buyer is at the moment exclusive to increasing the multiplier for the liquidity mining. And when I say liquidity mining, I mean it how they have described it here, which this is buyers liquidity mining. Liquidity mining in their terms refers to their distribution of that 54% of the token supply, 50-50 split between buyers and sellers.
So you don't get staking rewards by purely staking. The rewards are only, at least at this given time, for spending. But
right here we can see
the staking adds the multiplier to what you spend what the rewards you would get from the
Yeah,
buying power
this
that you
excerpt
contributed.
is the thing
Wow,
that I
that's
feel like a
huge.
lot
Oh,
of
okay.
people have a hard time understanding. To incentivize active uses of NeftyBlocks platform, we introduced liquidity mining program. Every Wednesday, 150,000 Nefty tokens will be distributed to people who have interacted with NeftyBlocks platform during the previous week. 50% to buyers, 50% to sellers. That adds up to 100%. So all of the liquidity mining, what they're calling this, all of these 150,000 tokens will go distributed to buyers and sellers. And the way that they're distributing them, if you read a little bit further here, buyer liquidity mining, it has to do with the weighted wax volume of you buying and buying NFTs.
So
Same
that
goes-
probably really hits home the idea that you hit your level and no more, no less. So you have
And
the
then-
free liquidity of what the excess is to spend on NFTs to then contribute to your buying weight spending power that would then get you rewards to then multiply by your staking level.
That's right. Exactly. And
So anyway, we can
that's-
like just soak that in. If anyone has questions, by all means, we can clarify.
yeah, that's the current white paper as I understand it. That's how it's working. It doesn't mean that this is how it will be forever. So I've been talking also with some of the people on the NeftyBlocks team, and they hear the community's suggestions, and I know they're going to evolve as the platform evolves. And I know a few of the bigger suggestions are that people are asking for the ability for buyers to be able to stake their own Nefty tokens to another collection. For example, you could stake your tokens to your favorite collection, and then the collection owner could in exchange offer, levels of discounts. For example, for any drop that you buy for a collection that you stake X amount of Nefty token to, you'd get a 5% discount on their drop or something like that.
And as a creator, you could effectively crowdsource
Yeah.
some of the liquidity
Access
that you
to
would
those
need
tools.
to access those tools.
Yeah,
So you could,
exactly.
as a creator, basically be like, hey, in exchange for discounts or advantages, you can help me achieve the goals that I need to get to pre-minted packs because I don't have the free liquidity to accomplish that myself. So it's almost like a Kickstarter through staking kind of thing. Real quick, so let's see.
Yeah.
I don't get a kickback on blending NFTs, but I would if it were pizza and 10 Nefty. So if you were blending NFTs you already exist that don't have a cost to them, you would not get a kickback for that.
That's right. Yeah.
So even though you're engaging with the platform and you're engaging with collections that are on Nefty, engaging with Nefty tools, in this case, you would not get a kickback for that, even though I guess that would be considered engaging with the platform. But I do think that is a good suggestion that maybe like a certain volume of transactions might be able to give you some priority or kickback in that idea, because they're basically trying to encourage people to use the platform, and that's their goal.
I am very much on board with that too, because as owner of Neon Space Collection, the super blend that I put together with the pre-minted pool gets me nothing. The pre-minted packs that I'm making for the Crypto Monkey drops gets me nothing as far as kickbacks go, and I'm using all of the tools and the stuff on the platform to do all that stuff. So it is 100% based on wax or Nefty token buying and selling volume.
I will give credit that Juan and them have been pretty open to feedback as far as like what people are looking for and need from a use case. So Max has given a bunch of suggestions just as a concerned citizen, but and they've been very receptive to it. So I think this is an organic process. I'm not part of the Nefty team by any means, but I at least from my perception, it does seem like they are kind of open to understanding how people want to use their platform, because it may not be what they anticipated. So here's a question. As a creator, can you create super blends that use Nefty or wax as an ingredient? Like say you provide 2 NFTs plus X amount of given token in order to blend. If you could build that into the blend mechanism and therefore kind of kill 2 birds for the buyer and for the seller.
I think the answer is not at the way the current tools are set up, but yes, the way that the contracts work. So ultimately that will be potentially added to the tools. And like I said, it's early days. We're seeing this, these tools are still being developed. So is the concept of access to them, the concept of how, the buyer and the seller dynamic, and how the your relationship with your tokens as a buyer versus the utility that provides you and then like why would you want them at all as a buyer versus like all this stuff that you get as a seller. I think all of that stuff is being developed, and so I think the short answer is it's coming. I like, as someone who's not on the team, I can tell like that's definitely the direction that this team is headed in. Like they're gonna, like, I mean, if you look at where blends were like 4 months ago and where blends are today and what's possible with them, and then just apply that same kind of like trajectory to the next 4 or 5 months, it's exciting times ahead. I'm really stoked.
Yeah, I mean, we like to do a lot of free distribution for our NFTs, for example, and we do that deliberately to try and, you know, make our collection affordable and approachable for people. But at the same time, you know, we are driving traffic to the platform, that it does seem like a logical conclusion that, like, you know, that volume and that interaction, that transactions with the platform could give you some value in terms of kickbacks for
yeah. I also like the idea of supporting like collections that I'm a fan of, like where I know the collection owner isn't like somebody who's in a position to pay like $5,000 or $6,000 to access tools, but they have ideas to use those tools. It'd be really cool if I could stake to their collection, you know, so that they could, you know, access the pre-minting pack. They could make their packs, and then once they've finished making their packs, I could unstake my share, and they could, you know, be at a lower stake level and still access all the super blends and keep their collection going, but they won't have to necessarily have fronted all that value to access the pack generator.
Yeah, or like if I had excess Nefty above a certain like staking level threshold, I would totally take that excess if I wasn't spending it on drops. I would totally take that excess in between and just stake it to a collection I like to support them. I would totally do that, and then, you know, maybe take it back at a time that I would need it or something. But in the meantime, might as well make it work for someone. I think that's a very reasonable expectation.
For now, I'm still waiting for this drop to go live. Let's see. Oh, it went live.
I think the key that we personally like about it is that the tokenomics is very well explained. It's very clear.
It took me a few times reading the paper, but like once I understood what they were trying to do,
it's a very deliberate design, and I think it's done well for what they're trying to accomplish. I mean, to say it's perfect would not be. I mean, these things are always changing and evolving, but I like that they have a very robust, well-designed white paper. It's a little complex, but, you know, you don't see a white paper of quality very often in the NFT space. So like that gives me a lot of confidence in the future of what they're trying to accomplish. And it's a good bare bones foundation to really build on what the community needs to be able to grow with it, because, you know, 6 months is an eternity in NFTs, and the way consumers interact with NFTs and the way creators interact with their collectors is always changing too. So you should have a platform and tokenomics that can be robust enough to grow with the community as well. So I hope that is the case, but, you know, I am happy at their ability to listen to feedback.
Yeah. So again, if you're on NeftyBlocks and you click on the 3 dots top right and go to wallet, you have your like basically this is like your Nefty wallet. You can send.
Well, we're showing stream raiders right now, so if you're trying to visualize stuff, just so you know.
Well, it's just, I guess, yeah. Let me.
So it's a 72-hour unstaking period, by the way. So
that's true.
That is the cooldown on the unstaking period.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You are looking here. Yeah. So if you wanted to unstake, you could do that. I'm actually not sure if unstaking it after 72 hours drops it right back into your wallet, or if there's a claim transaction that has to happen, similar to unstaking your wax from the Wax blockchain. So I'm not sure how that works. I haven't actually tried unstaking, but I probably won't for a while, honestly. Like I'm a big fan of this like project, and I want to participate in the distribution of the tokens. So the way I do that is obviously by having a stake and by buying drops with Nefty token. But yeah, so ultimately there's a lot of like use case potential, like avenues that can be added further down the line. So right now I know a lot of people are like, especially in the chats when I was talking with them, were confused about what the return rates were. Like if I stake 1,000 tokens, how long before you get X amount of percentage back? And it's just not that type of staking. Same with when you do like liquidity mining, what liquidity mining actually means. is, you know, to take liquidity, like what real liquidity mining for Nefty tokens would be if I go to my Alcor swap, I provide liquidity to Nefty tokens. This liquidity providing results in these wax Nefty tokens. If I then were to take these tokens and stake them to a contract that incentivizes me for providing the liquidity, that's what liquidity mining is.
Yeah, I think the terminology makes it confusing because it's liquidity mining in the way that most users see that. It is not liquidity mining. So I think that is so here's a question on that.
Whenever they say liquidity mining, what they're referring to is the distribution model of how they're planning to distribute the 54.4% of remaining Nefty tokens to buyers and sellers.
So I see on the roadmap that they have like proposals and governance built into their roadmap. So the Nefty tokens also being used as a voting structure as well?
Yeah, I think they're going to introduce something similar to like the guilds on Wax, where like you can, like if you have staked tokens, you can vote on like public propositions and stuff. But as far as I know, it's still more or less going to be the NeftyBlocks team making most of the decisions. As far as
so in theory, there will be feature proposals.
There will be feature proposals. There will be like potential stuff that, and then you can vote on like what gets priority or potentially even what gets funding. But I'm not 100% sure yet on the details of that.
And I guess my curiosity, and you may not know the answer to this question, but maybe it's outlined in the white paper. Like if they are going to introduce governance and voting, if they own 54.4% as a company, is that 54.4% meant for liquidity mining rewards going to be included in the governance, or if that's going to be excluded and it's only stake tokens from people that are not the team?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if that becomes a thing, they would exclude the liquidity mining, because part of it is also here. You can see like this amount is held at NeftyBlocks SX, which is like, this is an address that they made to fund liquidity into the liquidity pool. And it represents 82% of the entire pool. So these tokens cannot be used to vote because they're actively being used to supply liquidity. You would have to stake them. So
I see. Because they're not staked on the Nefty platform, they are not hitting the criteria for what this governance would theoretically be, because you have to stake them to the Nefty platform, not Alcor. God, okay, I like that.
And I'm sure there will be an additional layer of like, if you have a certain stake, then you can participate in this governance section, which I'm not 100% sure on the details of it, but
I do like that. I mean, that the users of your platform can vote and propose and engage in what makes your platform better. So I'm a huge governance supporter. So the more the better.
I'm a big proponent of governance by stake, because somebody who has a bigger stake in the network, like I have like a pretty decent chunk of Nefty tokens sitting here, I'm more motivated to make a good decision when it comes to voting than someone who maybe just has 10 tokens,
Yeah, I don't think you should be punished as a whale in terms of governance, because you do have more on the line, and that's not to be ignored. But you should have a robust enough distribution model so that the opportunity to have a big stake is still there, rather than just kind of creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of having the biggest stake so you can control that.
I did talk to the NeftyBlocks teams about a few like exploitation vectors that I saw right off the bat, and they were aware of, so I was happy about that. But for example, like as someone who owns a collection, I could make a bunch of NeftyBlocks drops in Nefty tokens, then on my personal wallet buy all those drops, and then basically just funnel money between two wallets that I own
as a creator.
And then I would basically be farming liquidity for as a buyer and as a seller at the same time for the distribution model, while actually only effectively losing 2% on tokenomics fees, which I would be able to outpace legitimate users exponentially, because it costs very little for me to do that.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Well,
so they're aware of that,
and to bring that up too.
I mean, I was like, hey, I own a collection. What if I just buy my own shit and then like
Real
but
quick, so
they do pay attention when they do the distribution. They said they're looking for that kind of stuff, and they will blacklist people who are attempting to game the system.
Yeah, I do think that would come up on Wax Detective pretty easily.
Yeah,
as long as there is someone or something that is tracking these sorts of transactions. That's true.
They are aware that there's exploit vectors like that, and it's not like that was like a super high concept one either.
Here, quick. So, do we need an extra transaction when we unstake on Wax? Does it happen all together?
Yes. So I can show you that here. So if you want to unstake your Wax, you want to go to blocks.io. And then change once you first get here, you want to change it from, it'll come in as EOS like this, blocks.io.
So you can do this if it's through a cloud wallet, you can do it through the cloud wallet interface as well.
You cannot unstake through the cloud wallet interface.
Oh, interesting. Really? Okay.
Here's the cloud wallet interface. If I'm going to staking rewards, where do I unstake my tokens?
Oh shit! No way.
So exactly. So you want to go to blocks.io, change it to Wax, and then at the top go log in. And then you could do add account and then choose your web wallet. I already have mine, so I'll just say this. It'll ask you to sign the transaction. Once you're in here, you'll go to account. To wallet. And then here, stake CPU. When you click on this tab, there's an unstake tab here. And then here you can use on this drop down, you'll find your web wallet. Here it tells you what your current stake is. You tell it, you want to unstake 100 or whatever. I just recently did 1,000. Then you sign the unstake transaction. It brings up the message again. You sign it, and then it takes 3 days to unstake. And you'll see here is a refund tab. So right now I'm waiting for my 1,000 to become unstakeable or become unstaked in 3 days. And once this time period counts all the way down, this refund button will be available. I'll have to click it and sign the transaction before these tokens come back into my wallet. So unstaking them alone isn't enough. They will just be sitting in the refund claim contract.
And you have to claim
forever.
your refund.
You have to claim your unstaked Wax.
Speaking of claiming rewards, this is a little bit out of scope of what we're talking about, but so you can claim rewards through if you're staking on your Wax Cloud wallet, which most people use, you can claim rewards via the Wax Cloud wallet interface, but there's actually additional rewards that you would be getting from voting that you can only claim through Wax. Wax.blocks.io. So can you show that real quick?
Yeah.
And if you were using a hardware wallet or some sort of Anchor hot wallet or something, this would be the way that you would claim it as well.
Exactly.
Blocks.io.
So what Mark's saying is you can click this claim button to claim your earnings. What that does is it takes what you've added up here and it adds it into your already staked balance.
Which I like.
Yeah, which is really nice. But what it's not showing you is that there is a Genesis pool that you're also earning balance in. So again, we're on the wallet tab of your cloud wallets on block.io. On the left side, if you go to claim GBM, you can see that here it has my Genesis balance is 13 Wax, even though my claim balance is 1.3. And you can see in my cloud wallet, it says I could claim 1.3, but it's completely ignoring. Oh, hey, there's that guy. It's completely ignoring my Genesis balance of 13. So if I were to only use my cloud wallet to claim my staked rewards, I would be missing out on this 13
like 10 times.
Yeah, significant rewards. So I'm gonna say claim both here. It'll bring up this. I say approve.
So it is easier to do it in one transaction through blocks than it is to go through the cloud wallet then again. And also the cloud wallet interface is not available if you have a hardware wallet or an Anchor hot wallet or Scatter or whatever you use, that you can claim it that way. So
yeah, all of the wallets can connect to here by just saying add account, and then here's all the options that you could sign into this with your.
I think we're getting into information overload point of our stream. Yes. Let's play Hacksball.
Okay, wait, real quick, Max. Is that Genesis block rewards? Is that from the voting? Like, do you have to actively vote?
That is correct. But if you're using the web wallet, you have a proxy that assigns your voter preferences for you, and you are actively voting correctly. If you don't use a web cloud wallet, you'll want to nominate block producers and sign a voting transaction. And you'll want to do that once every week or so to maintain a voting weight of 100%, which gives you your maximum potential payout. It's all kind of confusing. Maybe I should do a separate
We can do a
lot. There's a lot going on with Wax tokenomics.
We're gonna do tech talks every week now that you're back, so we don't need to jam it all into one night.
Yeah, maybe we can do a governance one.
You guys should
Yeah,
join in
Speaker
this too, though.
finally-
Like Max and Mark, you
Speaker
should go in the private
Speaker
chat. And
got
you
some
should
Lex you didn't know he had. Hell yeah. That's
should
what's up.
join this game.